What's up, YouTube? It's me again, looking ratty, feeling ratty, doing another one of these, uh, you know, card reveal videos. Cause it's still reveal season. Today is the 24th. I believe the last set of reveals just went live. So I wanted to go over the ones we've gotten in the last week since the last time I did one of these, and just give my thoughts on the cards in like maybe a little bit briefer this time. Maybe it won't take an hour and a half. Uh, but I just kind of go over that and hopefully pump out a video by around like last time it took her till 7 and PhD wasn't processed, but I'm hoping uh similar time frame like 6-7 o'clock. Hopefully YouTube won't have as many problems processing it if it's a little bit shorter. We'll see. Um, Either way, I haven't seen today's reveals yet. I've seen the others, um, but yeah, let's jump right into it. Looks like the first one is a landmark, or is it just an epic card? It doesn't have stats, so it yeah, it's definitely a landmark. It doesn't say landmark on it. Like if you look at this, it says landmark. This one doesn't. And the title is also further down. So I don't know what's up with that, but it's a landmark. The Gray Apothecary. When an ally with 5+ power dies, create a random follower with 5+ power in hand. That's interesting. That's not exactly the reputation support that I thought we were getting. Oh, you know what? Are today's reveals, are these the cards that died in the Jin stream? I bet these are the cards that died in the Jin stream. That's kind of funny. Yeah, this is interesting reputation support, I guess. I mean, it creates it in hand, not in like it doesn't create it on board, and it's completely random. So it's like any follower with 5+ power. So like you could trash like your Sivir and end up with like Ledros or some shit like that. So that's definitely curious. I feel like Reputation is very like tempo oriented though, so I don't know how much this is really gonna help that. Uh, but it's certainly an interesting card. I'm not super well versed in what Reputation runs. I did a little, I've done a little messing around with Sivir, and I've done like I tried to make like a Reputation Udyr deck when they reworked Udyr that went to mixed success. I don't know that either one of those decks would really run this though. So definitely curious. Probably really good with the 5/1 challenger that can't block though. Because then you get like you can trade it off because it's challenger, and like, or if they kill it, it's whatever, and you just get another thing back in hand. Definitely makes for some good card generation. So I could definitely see where it's useful. But I don't know if like losing the 2 mana, because like Reputation is very much a deck that like wants to have like a play on turn 1, a play on turn 2, LeBlanc on turn 3, Sivir on turn 4. Like it kind of have like a to curve out. So it's like I don't know when you play this. Um, but it's definitely fairly interesting. I kind of look forward to seeing it. And we have the Bandle card, Pepero the Great. When I'm summoned, create a random Yordle in hand. Okay. Attack. Grant. Other allied Yordles +1. Riot. Why, man? Why? I mean, I guess it's fine that it's Yordles and not like Fae or other allies. It's like specifically Yordles. But like that still applies to Tristana. It still rebuffs Poppy. It still creates a random Yordle in hand. I love Bandle City. It's so much fun that they just have infinite value. I mean, the upside here is like, in terms of like stats and cost and everything, he's literally just another mayor. But like, we didn't need Bandle to be able to run 6 mayors, you know what I mean? It's definitely... Yep. Thanks, Riot. Obedient Drake Hound. Immobile. Quick attack. When an ally attacks, I attack with it. That's kind of neat. Like, it can't attack on its own or whatever, but if you attack, then it attacks. It's only got 1 health, though. I feel like it also doesn't fulfill reputation. It's only 4 attack, right? So I feel like this card is pretty bad. Because, I mean, come on. We're running it, like... not only is it not fulfilling reputation, so you're not going to run it in reputation. But, like, even in, like, a rush deck, right? Like, the quick attack is helpful and stuff, but, like, what are you attacking with? A 1-drop? It's got 1 HP. Like, it dies to Pokey Stick, Vile Feast. You know, like, Mystic Shot is still 2 mana for 2 mana. It's dead to Victor Spell. It's dead to like anything. So yeah, I don't think it's a good card. Sorry, it's just not. Especially since it's immobile. Like, I like the concept of having a card that only attacks when you attack, but like, that's what Shark Chariot is for. This doesn't even have the benefit of leveling Hecarim, you know? So it's, or coming back once it dies with its 1 HP, right? So it's definitely, probably not a good card. But fair. Interesting card concept. Petricite Pillar, 2 mana Damacian landmark. All spells cost 2 more. Countdown 2. That's interesting. So it's... So it's 2 Stony Suppressors for the price of 1. But it only lasts 2 turns. They're using the countdown as like a time limit on how long the effect lasts. That's kind of neat. It's weird to have a countdown landmark that you don't want to count down. Because like every other, like, there's all the cards in the game that are, you know, like, advance your landmark. You know, Sundisk is when you level a champion, advance me 9 rounds. And then like you just have this, which is like, don't advance this. Right? Like you want this on board for the 2 turns. Certainly interesting. I think Stony Suppressor is probably still going to have more use. Simply because it's a unit, so you can like block little stuff with it, as opposed to this, which you just can't block anything with. And also Stony Suppressor, like, part of the advantage of Stony Suppressor is if you send it out, like, that thing is gonna be on board for the rest of all time, right? Because like, what are they gonna, like, if they spend the mana to kill your Stony Suppressor, right? They spend 6 mana on 2 Mystic Shots to kill your Stony Suppressor. First off, that's worth. But also, you're in Demacia. You can just play like a 3-mana Sharp Sight or something like that and completely like negate that. And then they're still wasting extra mana on their spells. So, this like doesn't really have that. A lot of like it goes away in 2 turns anyway. So, like, who cares? Like, you're not gonna waste landmark removal on this, like, ever, right? Especially landmark removal in the form of spells. Like, I could see, like, if you play this into Shurima, they play Desert Naturalist. Like, yeah, okay, I could see them wanting to break that, but like, even in that case, like, if you're playing like a Desert Naturalist, wouldn't you rather just break your, like, the 3/3 guy that gives you a 5/3? Like, if he's already dead, wouldn't you rather just break that and get 2 5 attack units out of it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't... Interesting concept. Again, I like the idea of a landmark that counts down as, like, a limit to its effect. And I actually kind of want to see more of those. But, yeah, I think nobody's going to run this card, like, ever. Just because it only lasts 2 turns. Frankly, if it was, like, Countdown 3 or Countdown 4... Yeah, I can see this card being really good, especially against, like, a more, like, spell-based control-y meta. Because, you know, 2 more, like, that's a lot, and that can, like, really screw over decks like Ezreal or Tri-Beam or, like, Faded, you know, like, things that want to play, like, the cheap spells, right? So, like, yeah, I can definitely see its uses, but I feel like the fact that it only lasts 2 turns is, like, why, like, for the same amount of mana, you can just run a Stony Suppressor, and, you know, yeah, it only makes the spells cost 1 more, but it just feels like it's a better option, right? So, yeah. So we're getting into the Annie reveals, and everybody's already basically said their shit about Annie, but let's go this way, because, like, you know, we'll start with Annie, right? Literally the kid from the image where the house is burning and she's just, like, that's fantastic art, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Annie, attack, 1 mana, 0/2. I deal 2 damage to my blocker. If it is dead or gone, I deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus instead. That's really strong. There's a lot of cards that, like, sort of easily deal with it. Like, literally any 1-drop that has, like, 3 health, you know, deals with it pretty easily. But most of those have 0 attack. So, you know, and it's just a powerful effect. And on top of that, it progresses her own level up condition, because her own level up condition is, I've seen you play 6+ fast spells, slow spells, or skills. Similar to Jhin, it's literally half the condition to Jhin, except she has to see them. So yeah, like, that it's pretty crazy. I saw somebody describe this as they printed a 1 mana 2/2 with quick attack and overwhelm, and, like, there's a little discrepancy there, because if you block it with something that has 1 HP, you know, that's not quite how it works. You're right, like, it doesn't deal the extra 1 to the Nexus, but it's pretty damn close. She's definitely powerful. I was originally thinking of memeing it up with the Yasuo Jin deck, but clearly Annie Jin with like aggro is just gonna be like the better option. So I might still do it for the content, you know. Just do like a big stream where I just make a bunch of decks. That'll be one of them, and then I can milk that stream for a bunch of content later. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, definitely just like base stats. Annie is a little bit of a scary card. But then if you look at her level up, it becomes a 1/3. That's pretty standard. Create a Tibbers in hand, and then the attack effect becomes I deal 3 damage to my blocker and stun it. If it's dead or gone, I deal 3 damage to the enemy nexus instead. So it just adds a little stun on there, so she like protects herself when she attacks. And yeah, if the unit dies, hey, that's 3 to face, right? And like, yeah, also creates a Tibbers in hand, which we'll go over here. We have Tibbers. Play, stun an enemy, then deal 2 to all stunned or damaged enemies for 6 mana. And this is like really good. Like, I think this is like deceptively good, because if you're playing Annie Jin, right, or even a deck that like does like a little bit of damage to units, like if you're playing Annie Misfortune, right, and you're playing pirate aggro, like Tibbers is just a fine finisher, right? Because if you're swinging with like MF units and stuff, like her stuff like pings the board or whatever, and that just, you know, stuns a unit, deals 2 to all the things that are damaged, and that unit you just stunned, like, that's solid. And it's a 6 mana 5/5, which is a little bit underwhelming, but pretty typical for how powerful the effect is. As you look at like, there's a couple other like 6 mana 5/5s, I think, that have effects out there. I think like Inviolus Vox. Actually, he's 5/6, isn't he? Either way, maybe a little bit less good in the stat range, but you know, it's very clearly like this effect is ridiculous. Also fearsome, which is a haha funny keyword. So you can like stun all of like the higher tier blockers, and then it's got fearsome, so you don't have to worry about stunning the others. It's pretty good. Annie just like on her own right there. It's pretty good. Except she's also got an interesting spell here. It's 2 mana fast spell. Pick a unit. The next time it takes damage this round, kill it. And, wow. That's a fast spell. I can see, like, 2 patches into the future, this is going to be slow. Because this card is ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Because, like, you swing out, you get ready to attack with, like, Misfortune, Annie, whatever. Some spells that deal damage. They've got a unit with enough health to block. They like, set up their block, and you just put this spell on the stack. And now they lose, right? That unit's just dead. And there's, like, nothing they can do about it. And that's just ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, like, wow. Like, what a spell. So I definitely foresee that being nerfed to slow speed. Because, like, the thing is, like, I don't think they could nerf its mana cost. So if you make it 3 mana, then you run it in every, like, Ezreal Caitlyn deck, like, or Tri-Beam, or, like, or like a Swain deck, you know, like this card's insane. Like it's like I said, 2 patches from now, it'll be slow. I can see the future. Ravenbloom Conservatory, another landmark. They're adding a bunch of landmarks to the game again. And they still haven't added, like, a decent amount of landmark removal. So, it's, yeah, it's getting pretty interesting. But here we have, Countdown 10. Create a Tibulk in hand. I advance 1 round for every fast spell, slow spell, or skill you've played this game. Which, actually, that's weird text, because it says this game. Which means that it advances even when it's not on board? Which is, curious. But again, it's, like, you know, it's the same. Like, obviously you want to get it down early, because it's countdown, so it'll still tick down at the end of turns. But yeah, like it's more like the Annie Jin synergy. You know, like it's gonna be like all of this stuff that you're gonna be running with Jin and Annie, and your reward for it is Tibulk, the fire demon, that lives inside Tibbers. Shoutouts to lore. Hot lore drops. And yeah, when I'm summoned, grant allies everywhere +1 attack. And for the rest of the game, all of your spells and skills deal 1 extra damage. That's a lot. Because that shit's permanent, too. Like, not only is this a 6 mana 6/6 with Overwhelm that you get in hand just for playing your deck, essentially. I guess it's 7 mana, because you have to play this as well. So it's a 7 mana 6/6 with Overwhelm. That then grants allies +1 attack, like everywhere, and makes all your shit deal 1 extra damage. Like, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you summon one of him, and all of a sudden, like, Annie spell, like, or Annie's little ability there, it does 4 damage, right? Your Jin has 5 attack, which, you know, kind of ruins the whole 4/4 thing, but, you know. There are things that have more than 4 attack, like, it had to happen eventually, I'm sorry, but, like, let's be real. It's better to have a Jin with 5 attack than with 4 attack, even if the 4 is aesthetically pleasing and, you know, makes canon sense. But then, like, all of Jin's, like, extra crap deals 1 extra damage. Even if you're playing, like, Yasuo Annie, right? Like a little stun deck with Yasuo Annie, just to live for a little haha fun. Now Yasuo, which, I mean, he should be leveled up by this point. But, like, if he's not, right? But you have him on board. Now his little attack does 3 damage to stunned units, right? Obviously that's a poor, dumb meme example. But, realistically, like, think about this in terms of, you know, like, a Swain deck or you know, a deck that, like, with P and Z, like, again, like Ezreal Caitlyn or something like that, where it's like, okay, well, now Mystic Shots deal 3 damage, Get Excited deal 4, you know, like, Caitlyn has 4 attack with her quick attack, right? Like, there's just so much that this card does that it's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, Annie package, real strong. Like, really strong. For sure. I can't wait to get my hands on it, because it, like, honestly, that shit's too powerful. Like, Annie Jin is gonna be, like, It's gonna be so weird because it's gonna be an aggro deck where every card you play also has like a skill or like gains you tempo, and I like everybody's just gonna be playing it day one. It's gonna be rough. But anyway, Mana Soul student. Each round, the first time you play a fast spell, slow spell, or skill, I play Magic Embers, which is skill that burns face. So remember when I said like everything you play, like this guy's just a burn engine. And hey, guess what? If you have Tibulk, that's 2 to face instead of 1, right? So he is a 3-mana 3/2. So like it's a little bit like, you know, it gets to a point where like how many units are you really going to be fielding that aren't going to be attacking? You know what I mean? But like it's like this guy is you know, let's just take this archetype that already stuns a bunch of units and plays a bunch of skills and everything, and let's just give it face burn. Why not? So yeah, this deck is going to be cancer. Like, just for sure. Spellslinger. Play. Stun an enemy. If it's already stunned, deal 2 to it instead. This is a good card. Like, its stats are pretty bad. It's a 2-mana 1/1. It's also a spider. Which is kind of silly. But, like, this, it's just a good card. It's 2-mana stun a unit, right? Unconditional. That also has a body. Like, you wanna pull it back. We would talk about how bad Yasuo is as a champion. Like, we've all been there. We know Yasuo is a shit meme, right? His champion spell is 2 mana. I stun an attacking enemy. That's it. Like, that's the whole thing, right? And yeah, this is at unit speed, sure. But like let's compare that. It's 2 mana to stun an enemy conditionally, or 2 mana to summon a fearsome 1/1 that also stuns an enemy with no conditions, but conditionally, if the enemy is already stunned, it damages it. That's a lot for 2 mana, man. Like, so yeah, it's a 1/1, but it's a good 1/1. This card is really good. I expect this to see play even outside of any decks. Because, like, why not? It's also a spider. You could put it in a lease, right? Like, there's a lot you could do with this card. It seems really good. On the other hand, this is probably easily the weakest card in the Annie package. So, 3 mana 1/3 with Overwhelm. When you play a fast spell, slow spell, or skill, grant me +1 attack. Which sounds pretty okay. Until you realize that at this point in the game, realistically, you've probably played like 2, if you're lucky, right? And then it's like, okay, it's 3 mana 3/3 with Overwhelm. That's pretty useless. Even if you high rolled and played 3 1-drops with skills before this, right? It's still a 3 mana 4/3, which is just the crossbow dude. I don't remember the name of the card, but it's the 3 mana 4/3 with Overwhelm from Noxus, right? And yeah, it can scale up like past that, sure. But I just don't think it's good enough, right? Yeah, I just don't think it's good enough. Like, I'm sure if you're running like Jin, Annie, right? it'll scale up super quick. Actually, you know what? It says when you play. It doesn't say when I've seen you play. I assume that it's on board. But if this card gets stronger in your hand, I take it back. If this card gets stronger in your hand, like, and you can just play it with the stat ups, yeah, this card's gonna be strong as hell. But the way I'm reading it is like it needs to be on board, and when you do these things, then it gains the stat, right? And if that's the case, I don't think it's gonna be very good. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't even if it has, like, again, like if it gains stuff in hand, like, then you can kind of like power it up without like worrying about it being taken out until you play it with, and then it has like big stats, and like then you can kind of maybe use it as like a pseudo finisher, right? But if it doesn't have that, I mean, like, then it's pretty garbo. And I think you'd rather be running units with the fast spells, slow spells, or skills, and then like just have, you know, this guy as your 3-drop. Like, why would you ever play this when you could play this, right? Because why would I want an overwhelm unit that's gonna die in one hit anyway, or to like get excited or whatever? When I can have a burn card, and yeah, the burn card also dies to Mystic Shot, but like, still, I don't know. I feel like it depends on how it plays. Because like I said, if it actually like gets stronger, like in your hand and possibly deck, then yeah, this card's busted. But if it only gets stronger on board, then it's pretty worthless. So yeah. Haunted Tomb. Countdown 2. Revive the strongest dead ally. This is a weird one, because it's a 3-mana landmark. It's the thing about it is it's Mist's Call on delay, right? Like it's basically what it is. And like it's pseudo protection, like more pseudo protection for Shadow Isles, which, sure, like, I respect that. But maybe it's just like my brain is funky or something. I don't know what deck you play this in, right? Because like in Viego decks, you already are running like Shurima or Ionia to protect your Viego anyway. And you have ways to draw more Viegos. So you probably wouldn't play this in Viego. Callista already does, well, I guess she's specifically followers. But like, even still, Callista like already does this on her skill. So you probably wouldn't play it in Callista. You wouldn't play it in Darkness because, again, you already run Mist's Call in that, and Vygar is not gonna be the strongest dead ally, like, ever. It's just like, I don't know, like, and it's 3 mana too, so it's like, it's not like an early game kind of play. So like, I can see like if you are running like the Callista thing, like, you know, you could use it on like a Rekindler based deck where Rekindler is like your strongest ally, and then you get Rekindler to do stuff. But I don't know what deck you play this in. Maybe Anivia Control? But Anivia already brings herself back anyway. And, like, if you have Rekindlers in that deck already, like, why would you want this? I mean, I guess it's 3 mana as opposed to 7 mana for that. But then it's, like, also, is Anivia going to be the strongest unit? But that's another one where, like, it'll probably just end up bringing back Rekindler, right? So this is a tough one. It's a tough one. Like, I want to say it's good because it's Shadow Isle Pseudo Protection, right? But I don't know what plays it. I really don't. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe you do play it in Viego and it like allows you to play like Viego in other regions, like do like a Viego Demacia thing, right? Something like that. Or like a Viego Targon. Like maybe it's something along those lines, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. Makai Witherclaw. When an enemy is challenged, give it -2 attack this round. 5 mana, 5/4. I have seen varying takes on this card. And yeah, I'm gonna stand my middle ground. I think this card is okay. I've seen people say that it's shit because it doesn't have Challenger, so it doesn't apply anything. I've seen people say, like, why would you pay, like, it's a 5 mana 5/4, it dies to, like, everything, it's shit. I've also seen people go, wow, this card's really good because it's just, like, an exhaust on literally, like, anything you challenge in, you know, like a Renekton deck. And it's wow, -2 attack on, like, anything you challenge if you're playing, like, a solid, like, challenger deck with, like, you know, like, maybe, like, a Renekton Jarvan or something like that. Like, that's sick as hell, right? So, I've seen it said both ways. And frankly, I think it's in the middle. I think its effect is really cool. Obviously, like, it's like, oh man, it doesn't have Challenger, but bro, look at its region. It's in Shurima. Like, you know, the region that has existed off of Roiling Sands for the past 2, 3, 4, 6 months, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't have Challenger. Like, everything you're playing against has Vulnerable. Right? Like, come on. So, yeah, it's... I think it's pretty good. It procs Reputation. So, like, it's solid, like, if you're playing, like, a Reputation deck, if you have Lucky Finds to give, like, your 5/5 guy who generates them, or, like, your Sivir Challenger, or something like that. Like, it's just a good card. I don't think it's amazing, because, I mean, for the same reasons that people said. It is a 5/4, it doesn't really have good stats, it doesn't have any keywords. So yeah, it's a little bit on the weak side in terms of that. But -2 attack, like, that's significant, right? Like, you don't think about that too often, but -2 attack is, like, it's a decent amount. So I think the card's okay. I think it'll probably see play. I don't think it's revolutionary though. Speaking of not revolutionary, Dragon Ambush. This card is basically anti-decimate. Because it's decimate is 5 mana, deal 4 damage. This is 5 mana, heal 4 damage, right? That's it. That's what it is. I don't know. I don't think it's very good. I think, like, yeah, it's probably okay in some control decks. Because, you know, obviously healing 4 is pretty nice when, you know, you just need healing. But, like, 2 Dragonlings, they're ephemeral. Like, it's literally just going to heal 4. The Dragonlings are probably just going to get, like, needlessly blocked. The free attack with the 2 Dragonlings. There's actually, you know, there's maybe a world where you run this in, like, a Zed Hecarim deck, and it summons, like, a bunch of Shark Chariots and shit. That's pretty funny. Now I kind of want to do that. But it's a 5 mana slow spell, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think it's revolutionary. But it's probably okay. Like, thinking it out, like, yeah, it's 5 mana heal 4, right? Like, it's like I said, it's basically an anti-decimate. The fact that it comes with bodies is pretty good. Obviously, super weak to quicksand. Like you play this, your opponent plays quicksand on the Dragonlings, you're like, oh great, I did 5 mana, do nothing. Great, cool, thanks. Right? So yeah, like it's I mean, on the other hand, though, like, that's, you know, your opponent wasted quicksand. Is that a good thing? I mean, I don't know. You wasted 5 mana. So I don't know. Like, it seems like it could be a powerful card in, like, the right deck, but I don't see it being, like, revolutionary. Because if you're playing, like, this in, like, Karma, like, or Lee Sin, or whatever, like, they already have access to the stupid little 2-mana Dragonling dude, right? Like, and they're already playing, like, multiple spells a turn in order to get the 1 Dragonling a turn. Is 2 more for 5 mana really gonna change that much? I don't think so. So, yeah, it's whatever. Dragon Roost. Countdown 3. Summon in Viola's Fox. Which, yeah, okay. You just want to pre-summon in Viola's Vox. You pay 3 less, but you have to wait 3 turns for him. Seems pretty okay. It's another also, like, semi-decent Targon landmark. Like, you could probably run this in, like, a Talia Malphite. Probably. Because it's just card generation. Like, even if you're not running other dragons, like, Inviola's Fox is still a 5/6 who generates you cards if he kills stuff, right? There are other landmarks that are probably better, but, you know, it's not terrible. And, you know, if you're playing, like, with Malphite, who actually wants you to play a little bit higher valued, you know, landmark cards, as opposed to, like, the Shurima ones that are all, like, 1, 2, 3 cost, right? Usually 1. Then, yeah, like, this, I can see this card, like, getting played, especially since a lot of, like, the Targon landmarks are not great. Like, have you seen, like, the Rockfall Path or the Stairway one? Like, those are, ugh, right? Whereas this, like, I can actually see this being, like, a decent Targonian landmark. I also think, like, it's probably a decent play in Dragons. It doesn't solve the issue of Dragon's curve being very slow, right? Because, like, the thing about Dragons is, like, you play Dragon Chow on 1, you play the Herald on 2. If the Herald doesn't die on 3, you play Shyvana. If it does, or if you don't have Shyvana, or the White Flame, right? Then on turn 3 you play, you know, like the 3 mana guy, the 3/4 who makes Fury better, right? And then on a 4 you play Shyvana, or something like that. So, like, if you have this card instead of Shyvana, or the 3/4 guy, then yeah, like, why wouldn't you play it, right? But at the same time, like, I don't think it revolutionizes anything there, right? Because, like, it's still, like, you're still basically giving up your turn 3, regardless of how you play that, and it's totally better to just have the Shyvana, right? But then if you're not playing this on 3, like, you can already play Inviolus Fox on turn 6, and yeah, like, this card is 3 mana less than Inviolus Fox as a raw play, and it'll come out at turn start, so, like, you can maybe open attack with it. But it's countdown 3, and let's be real, there's actually a decent amount of landmark removal that is in the meta right now, because, like, Mono Shurima is still hanging around, so people are still, like, running landmark removal here and there. I don't know. I don't think this card is that good, but I think it's probably good enough that it'll see play in certain decks. I just don't think Dragons is that deck, you know? Or if it is that deck, I don't think it's necessarily going to be, like, the go-to turn 3 play. Celestial Trifecta. Invoke a low, medium, and high-cost Celestial card. Okay, so here's the thing. Once again, I have a little bit of a confusing card text here. If this is, like, invoke a low-cost, a mid-cost, and a high-cost card, like, right, and you pick one of the 3 for 6 mana, that's pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's rough. Because, like, it's at that point it's 6 mana, do nothing, right? But if it's invoke out of 3 a low cost, right? You get to pick one of those, and then you go and you pick one of 3 mediums, and then you go and pick one of 3 highs. That's ridiculous and insane and way too much value. But it's still 6 mana. Either way, like, it ends up, it's probably gonna end up being like a 6 mana do nothing. So, you know, it's a little bit hard to see, like, where this card's going for sure. But it could be pretty killer. It's definitely, like, a super late game play though. Probably an okay buff to, like, Taric Lux, which is a goofy little deck that I made once upon a time. But yeah, I don't know. It's because if you're getting 3 cards worth of value, like, that's huge. That's worth way more than the 6 mana, especially for like Celestials. The problem is when are you ever gonna have, like, the 6 mana to spend on just generating value, right? So it's questionable. Questionable, for sure. Wings of the Cryo Phoenix. 7 mana, deal 3 to all units, enlighten until your Nexus 3. I saw a lot of people bad-mouthing this card, because they were like, what the hell? This card's trash. Like, why does it even have the enlightened text? And I'm over here like, I mean, it's not that bad. It's better Icequake, realistically. The difference is Icequake counts towards Trundle's level up condition, and this doesn't. And, like, yeah, Blighted Ravine is better, but this is just late game Blighted Ravine, right? Like, you're still gonna be running Blighted Ravine in decks that would run this. I think the thing is like, it's got, you know, like, it's got a pretty hefty cost. You can play it on 4 if you haven't, like, you know, done anything else. But then you don't get the heal. So, like, yeah, that's pretty rough. And if you're playing it on, like, when you're already enlightened, like, what are you killing that has, you know, 3 health, right? Because if you're playing against aggro, if it's turn 10, they've already lost, right? So, and like 3 tall units doesn't really do that much against, like, anything that gets played past turn, like, 6. So, yeah, I can see why they would say, like, this card is, like, kind of bad. But I think it has, like, potential. Because, again, it is, like, kind of just a better Ice Quake. And, like, if you... I don't know, I think... There is definitely, like, what do you call it when... I don't have anyone I'm talking to. I don't know why I'm asking. But it's gonna like... When like, someone has a point, I can see... whatever. I can understand where people are coming from. It's like, why does it even bother having the Enlightened text? If this was just deal 3 to all units and heal your Nexus 3, card be fucking strong, right? But because it's Enlightened, it, like, kind of becomes, like, useless because you don't really ever have a scenario where you want to play it. And I get that. But, like, I don't know. I feel like they could probably tune this up to, like, deal 4 damage to all units, keep the Enlightened text, and it'd be way too strong and give, like, it'd bring, like, you know, some other control decks back into the light, you know? But yeah, I think the card's probably a little bit stronger than people give it credit for, but you know, there is valid reasoning behind the statements of why people are saying that this card is bad. Strategic Execution. 4 mana, stun 2 enemies, or spend 6 mana to summon a Legion General. This is another one of those cool cards that, like, you can play it for an effect, or you can choose to play it for a little bit extra mana to get a different effect. And that's pretty cool. I do like that a lot. It's definitely, like, a really cool card concept. And I think the more of those cards that they add, like, the better. Yeah, like, there's, to an extent, like, it's like, how many options is too many options, right? But I really like this one, especially, like, stun 2 enemies. If you need 2 enemies stunned for 4 mana, hey, it's a slightly worse version of the Celestial card that does it, right? Or you can spend 6 mana to summon a 5 mana unit that could be buffed to hell, right? And in any deck, like any, like, Yasuo deck, Yasuo Annie, Yasuo Katarina, whatever, you're absolutely running this over Legion General now. Like, you're never running Legion General again because you can now summon him with spell mana with this card, which can also stun 2 units, which is honestly just huge. So yeah, like, it's just a better card. So yeah, I like this one, and I want to see more cards like this, where, like, I think another one that was, like, in the past that was, like, a similar kind of thing that I would like to see more of is, like, the 3 mana card from Demacia that reads spend all your mana to summon a Vanguard, right? Like, I want to see both of these card archetypes. I want to see more of. They're really cool. So keep doing that. Next we have the Bard package, which I have not touched on yet. So Bard is a Runeterra champion with the origin of the Wandering Caretaker, which is, you may put any cards that plant chimes into your deck during deck building. Round start, plant a chime in your deck for each Bard that started the game in your deck. Which, hey, round start, that's 3 chimes every time, right? Because you're never gonna run 3 bards, right? Attack. Plant 3 chimes on random cards in your deck. And chimes, I believe... Nope, that's Traveler's Call. Okay. Chimes are essentially traps, except instead of harming you, they buff your hand. Which is very interesting. And then when leveled up, Bard attack, plant 6 chimes on random cards in your deck. When you activate a chime, grant +1/+1 to a random ally in play. So, like, the chime effect affects in hand and in play when Bard's leveled up. The thing is getting him there. Because he's got an attack effect. And he's a 2/5. Now, granted, if you're playing Bard, Bard's whole thing, like I said, the chimes buff your hand, right? So Bard's whole thing is, like, he's going to be a hand deck buff unit. But, so like, he's not actually ever really going to be a 2/5. He's probably going to come out like a 4/7, whatever. And that gives you a little bit more liberty to attack and stuff. But, like, the fact that his origin is so limited, and the fact that the things that synergize with it, right, are split between Ionia and Freljord so evenly, like, you're never going to actually be able to run Bard with both of those regions, right? So it makes, like, it's like, well, you kind of have to choose. Do you want to go for, like, the deck buffing things that Freljord does, or do you want to have, like, the hand buff stuff that Ionia does? And obviously, like, it's, I think, probably going to end up the hand buffing stuff with Ionia, because you're going to want to protect Bard if you're doing this kind of a deck. Although I guess Freljord has, like, unit protection in that sense too, right? Because it's got, like, the troll chant and everything. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just, like, it feels like split interests, right? And I think I have to agree with... I saw somebody say, like, Bard ends up being just the ultimate allegiance splash champion. Because it does, like, if you're running an allegiance deck, like, say, you know, like an elite deck in Demacia, why wouldn't you just want to have, like, random hand buffs at the cost of having 3 bards in your deck? And those 3 bards would be, like, the only things in your deck that aren't from Demacia, right? So your chances of hitting Allegiance are still going to be, like, huge. Right? But it's like... But you just also happen to add 3 chimes to your deck every turn, and you have the possibility of having, like, some buffed units. Like, that's pretty good. So, like, Bard, really good with Allegiance. Probably not great as his own archetype. It's just kind of how it is. Traveler's Call. So this is the card that you can only get if you have another Bard. Draw a follower. Then activate the effects of all boons in the top 3 cards of your deck. That's pretty ridiculous. But again, like, you'll only get this if you have another Bard in hand. And it's like, at that point, like, do you really want to throw away your other Bard? I don't know. Maybe. It's a possibility. I mean, like, that's a lot of effects. Like, you draw a follower and activate the effect. Like, keep in mind, if you draw a follower that has boons on it, right? Like, then those will activate as well. And then all boons in the top 3 cards of your deck, which, you know, if you are running a Bard package, you know, like, could be pretty good. So, let's look at the rest of Bard's package here. We've got start up here because, you know, like, it's tiered off, whatever. Maduli the Gatekeeper. When I'm summoned, plant a chime on the top card of your deck. Then double the boons in your deck. Again, this is just like one of those like exponential scaling kind of cards. It's on summon, so like your opponent can't do anything about it. Unlike Ava, who like, you know, if your opponent removes her, then like it's whatever. This card's pretty sick. Honestly, it's real good with the Chime package. Because like it guarantees, like since it plants the Chime then doubles, it guarantees that the next card you draw is gonna have 2 Chimes on it, which is like +2/+2 to like something in your hand. It's pretty solid. It's a solid card. And the region doesn't really matter because, you know, Bard just takes all Chime cards. So it seems okay. Cosmic Binding. Deal 2 to an enemy and stun another. Plant 3 Chimes in your deck. This is a weird card because it's like half of the new Targon stun card, except to the other unit it deals 2 damage. But I think this is actually like really powerful. It's being able to have like an on-demand damage that also like stuns. It's definitely like, and it plants Chimes. It seems really good. Like it's just gonna be a really good control card while you're like trying to get set up with the Bard package. So I think like that card's actually like deceptively strong. Speaking of deceptively strong, Bird, the Bell Ringer. When I'm summoned, plant a Chime on the top card of your deck. 1 mana 2/1. And like, that doesn't seem that strong, but like 1 mana 2/1 is pretty standard. But it plants a Chime on the top card of your deck, which means no matter what, like you play this turn 1, on turn 2, something in your hand is going to be buffed. That's not bad. Like, will it necessarily be something you want to be buffed? No. But there's definitely like situations where this card is going to like high roll and you can just kind of snowball the game off of it, you know? So that card probably pretty good. Esmus, Breath of the World. Elusive, 0/2. When I'm summoned, plant a Chime on the top card of your deck. Support. Grant my supported ally +1/+1. The interesting thing about this card is Bard buffs units in hand. So even though it's a 0/2 with support, it's kind of reminiscent of like Young Witch, right? This card is not going to be a 0/2, right? Like when somebody plays this card, it's usually probably going to be like a 1/3, a 2/4, you know, like something like that. So it is going to hit, and it grants the supported ally +1/+1, which is solid. Like it's a decent support effect. It's like nothing special, but you know, it's pretty okay with the, you know, like the Bard package and stuff. The interesting thing about it is this is actually a Targon card, and I can actually totally see this seeing play outside of the Bard package, because Targon also has like the 1-drop. Like you could play this with Taric, right? Because you run this with the 1-drop that grants +1/+1 to the thing that supports it, right? And then like, you know, you run that, you run the 5 mana like support chain thing, you run Taric. Like I can see it seeing play in that kind of a deck, right? You know, like it's just like you can run this instead of like Tiari, right? Or rather than instead of like with Tiari. So it's, I think this card's probably gonna end up actually like being pretty solid in and out of Bard decks. And then when you have Mystic Vortex. When I'm summoned, or when I count down, plant 3 chimes on random cards in your deck. Count down 2, draw 1. 2 mana. This card's good. Because it's half a Preservarium, right? 2 mana, count down 2, draw 1 card, right? The difference is instead of, like, when it's summoned, instead of drawing, it plants buffs in your deck. But it also does that again when it counts down 1, right? So, like, that's pretty solid. Like, you know, as with, like, Teemo decks and other trap decks, it's like, yeah, there's always going to be randomness to the boons. So, like, that goes for, like, all of these cards with that, like, run with Bard and stuff. There's definitely, like, these cards seem real good, but it's also going to be, like, super limited by how well you high roll, realistically. Because, you know, if all of your randomly placed boons end up on the bottom 10 cards in your deck, you lose, right? So, you know, like, all of these cards have that caveat. But this is a pretty solid landmark, and again, it's a Targon landmark that finally isn't garbage. Plus its draw. I can see this being run outside of the Bard package. So, like, I think this card actually probably really good. Because, like, you can run that in, like, Aphelios decks. You can run that in Talia and Malphite decks. You can run that in... Well, I was gonna say you might be able to run it in Dragons, but I don't know about that. But you could probably run it in, like, freaking, like, Targon's Peak decks. So that'd be pretty funny. You just get to draw. Like, you don't have, like, you know, the high cost units you're looking for. You just play that, buffs a little bit of your deck, and, you know, maybe the next 8 mana 8/8 you draw is actually a 0 mana 9/9. I don't know, right? I don't know. I can see it. That deck list is probably a little too tight for it, but, you know, it's just like, it's entirely possible, you know? Isn't Answered Prayer the one that's... I thought this was the 2 mana or 5 mana card. Why is this just the 5 mana? Is there... It is. Okay, it's... This must have been the card... I cut it out, actually, of the last video, but there was a... I was confused about, like, there was an extra card in the Alawi package that wasn't being shown. It must have been this. Because it's the 5 mana spawn 4 version of that card. I already talked about it. So that means this is the last card that we have to talk about. Proximity Puff Cap. 2 mana, deal 1 to a unit. If one of your traps or boons activated this round, deal 3 instead. It's a good card. I have no problems with it. It's a slow spell, so it's like, you know, it's nothing special. You know, it's not like something that can be played in combat. And frankly, for 2 mana, a ping that can grow to dealing 3 instead. Honestly, at this point, it's standard. You know, like I've come to expect it. It's another 2 mana ping card that grows in power conditionally, right? This one just happens to be trap support, which is interesting. You know, why not? It also functions with boons. So if you're running, like, this is a Bandle City card. So if you're running Teemo Bard for one reason or another, I mean, hey, why not, right? So yeah, that's all of them, right? Just the Bard package, just the Annie package. Annie is almost certainly stronger than Bard. But I like the things that the Bard package does. I don't know, last time I did one of these videos, I talked about how I was working on like a hand deck buff deck. It was like okay, but there were other cards that I wanted to put in it. Bard definitely makes the deck building process of that one a lot more difficult. Because like I said, like as it stands, like those kinds of buffs are kind of split pretty well between Freljord and Ionia. Granted, Ionia has more of the in-hand side of things, whereas Freljord does more of the in-deck side of things, and Bard is a very in-hand thing, so I think Bard will play better with Ionia. But it's kind of hard to say that I can see Bard being super good, but I don't know. We'll see. Annie Jin and the Annie like pirates, I think, is probably like gonna rule the meta this patch for sure. But you know, that's not something I'm super opposed to. I'm probably gonna play a bunch of Annie Jin, Annie Yasuo myself. So yeah. I think the patch comes out tomorrow, so tonight I'm probably gonna be streaming Elden Ring again instead, because you know I'm still just waiting for the patch to drop, baby. But Friday again, I don't think there are any Arknights events to expect, so almost certainly Friday's stream is gonna be playing Legends and getting some hot content for the game. Gonna be making some silly decks. Obviously, Annie Jin's gonna be like one of the first ones I make. Probably gonna meme it up, throw in Yasuo into both, like, you know, do Annie Yasuo, Jin Yasuo. But there's lots of other things I want to make. Like I do want to make like the deck buff deck. I'll probably make like a Zed Bard thing. You know, like I'm probably gonna allow Udyr. I'm probably gonna make a Nightfall deck that, you know, contains a couple of the new cards that I think is gonna work. I'm gonna play Deep with the new Deep support. It's gonna be great. So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna be doing. Did I talk about the Telestones? The Telestones are all the way at the bottom here. I don't think I talked about the Telestones. I mean, I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. I feel like a bunch of people have already done that. What I will say about the Telestones is I really like the concept. I think it's pretty clear that when they designed them, they started with Demacia and then went to like Ionia and Noxus and then did like the others. And, you know, the enthusiasm for the concept kind of went down as they went along, right? But like I like the Telestones. I think having one card in every region that kind of is like, here's some options maybe. I think it's really good. I think Bilgewater Telestones absolutely should have had Sunk Cost instead of Chum the Waters. That would have made that card actually interesting, as opposed to just Playful Trickster, but again. And yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not that much to say about them. It's a cool card, like, concept to have, like, every region have their own little flip a coin, pick 3 spells, right? And I do like them, I think. So yeah. The fact that a decent portion of them also have landmark removal, just as an option, means that you don't necessarily have to main deck landmark removal if you're playing a region that has a particular Telestone, which, you know, like I said, they're adding more landmarks. So that's probably a good thing. And yeah, that's all of the new cards. I believe this is the last reveal, because the patch goes live tomorrow. And these are the 4 cards that Jin shot during the stream, I believe. The reveal stream, they're the last cards that get revealed. That's kind of funny that they did it that way. I do like that. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe. I'm gonna be probably making some of those videos. There's a lot of Legends, though, and I do only upload 1 Legends video a week. I might have to up that a little bit. We'll see. Kind of up in the air. Like, there's obviously going to be a lot more content to make, like, as the patch comes out. So that's something, like, I'll probably, like, maybe put out, like, start putting out like a Legends video along with the short on Friday or something like that. Just kind of like use that, because I also still have to finish making the Gauntlet series, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, tonight probably streaming some Elden Ring. Yeah. So my Twitch link below the stream. If you're looking for updates, what I'm working on for videos, or just, occasionally I shoot shit. My Twitter is also linked down there. Yeah, I appreciate any follows and any subscribbles. Anything that people wanna do to support me while I'm still a growing little YouTuber and / content creator, I guess, because I do Twitch, and thinking about taking some of my shorts and doing TikTok. We'll see. But yeah, that's all I got. It's the end of this video. So good luck, have fun in all your games, and until next time, Gooby.